Hello and welcome back to Saxon Math. This is lesson 33, writing percents as fractions. It's part 1. Apparently it's a new concept, but let's check it out. This is going to be one of the quickest lessons you've had this year because percents may be written as fractions, and here is simply how it needs to be done. The percent is the numerator. The denominator is 100. End of lesson. Cancel the matching zeros whenever possible. Reduce as necessary. So for example, 40% is simply 40 over, if it's a percent, it's like 100 is in the denominator. And here you can see that you can cancel, if you have 1 0 on top, you can cancel 1 down on the bottom, and depending on the number of zeros, you can just cancel out as many zeros. If there's 1 on top and 1 on bottom, you can do that. If there's 2 on top and 2 on bottom, you could do that. Cancel both of them. But in this case, we're just going to cancel 1 because there's only 1 in the numerator. Then you end up with 4/10, and 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 2/5 is the same as 40%. So 40% as a fraction is actually 2/5, but we started out as 40 over 100. It's that simple. Let's look at some examples and then we'll just jump right into the practice set. So, forget that example. We're going to go through some of the concepts again here. Our fraction manipulatives describe parts of circles as fractions and as percents. The manipulatives show that 50% is equivalent to 1/2 and that 25% is equivalent to 1/4. A percent is actually a fraction with a denominator of 100. The word percent and its symbol, percent, means per 100. We can use a grid with 100 squares to model percent. So here's 50%. There's 50 squares out of 100 total. It equals half of the total. Here are 25 of those squares shaded in out of 100 total squares. That would be 25 out of 100, and it is 1/4 of it. To write a percent as a fraction, we remove the percent sign and write this number as the numerator and 100 as the denominator. Then we reduce if possible. All right, now let's look at example 1. In Benjamin's class, 60% of the students walk to school. Write 60% as a fraction. 60 is the numerator. Percent means it's going to be out of 100. That's all there is to it. 60% equals 100, 60 over 100. And then you can reduce this because both of these are divisible by 20. Both the numerator and denominator are divisible by 20. This would be 3/5. So this percent shaded right here would be 3/5. So because you can reduce 60% or 60 over 100 in one step by dividing 60 and 100 by the greatest common factor, which happens to be 20. If you begin by dividing a number that's smaller than 20, it will just take more than one step to reduce the fraction. For example, if we took 60 over 100 and we instead divided by 2, which is not the greatest common factor, we'd end up with 30 over 50. And here I could see I could cancel those zeros out, and I'd end up with 3/5 from that point on, because I recognized that if I divided 30 by 10, I would get 3, and 50 divided by 10 would also get me to that point. So I'd still get there. Now let's look at another example here. Example 2, find the reduced fraction that equals 4%. So again, here's the numerator, 4. The percent means we're out of 100. So once we've got that point, we need to recognize that both of the numerator and the denominator are divisible by 4, and that would just simply get us 1/25. So 4% written as a fraction would be 1/25. The greatest common factor of 4 and 100 is 4. All right, let's try these. So write each percent as a fraction. Reduce when possible. Letter A, go for it. Should have been 80 over 100 to start with. I'm going to cancel both those out. Now it's just 8/10. And 8 divided by 2 is the same as 4. And 10 divided by 2 is the same as 5. 4/5 is 80%. All right, go ahead and do letter B. For letter B, you would get 5 as the numerator because it's 5%. The denominator is 100. I need to reduce that because I can see that 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 100 divided by 5 would be 20. 1/20th is the same as 5%. Go ahead and do letter C. This would be the same as 25 over 100 to start with, but I have to recognize, oh, those are both things I can reduce. The greatest common factor is 25. 1 would be here, and then this would be 4 here. 1/4 would be the fraction for 25%. For letter D, go ahead and do that one. This one you would end up with 24 over 100. Both of those, I don't know what the greatest common factor is off the top of my head, so I'm going to just go with 4. I know that 4 is one that they're both divisible by. 24 divided by 4 is 6. 100 divided by 4 is 25. And that looks like that would be it. That might be the reduced fraction there because there is no common factors between those. So 6/25 would be sufficient. Letter E. Numerator is 23. Denominator is 100. That's reduced. Letter F. 10 would be the numerator, 100 would be the denominator. Hopefully you can recognize that that's going to be 1/10 because you could cancel that 0 out and take that 0 out. All you're left with is 1/10. Go ahead and do letter G. For this one, you should have recognized that it's going to be 20 over 100. And both of those are divisible by 20. Actually, I could take it down this notch. 2 over 10. Both of those are divisible by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that'd be 1/5. Do letter H, 2%. 2% would be 2 over 100, as we start with, but then we recognize they're both divisible by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 100 divided by 2 is 50. So 2% is the same as 1/50th. And letter I, 75 would be the numerator. Denominator is 100, as always, when you've got percents. And then you have both of these divisible by 25. So 75 divided by 25 would be 3. 100 divided by 25 would be 4. So 3/4 would be 75%. Letter J, describe the steps you would take to write 40% as a reduced fraction. So let's just go ahead and do that to begin with. So if I've got 40% over 100, so first off, I would say that 40 over 100, 40 is the numerator. Let's see if I can write cursive on here. And 100 is the denominator. And then once you do that, you'd have to reduce. I could take each one of those, I could cancel a 0 out, so then I'd just have 4/10. And then the GCF of 4 and 10 is, looks like it'd be 2. So both those would be divisible by 2. And then I'd end up with this 2/5. And so the final answer would be, the fraction would be reduced fraction would be 2/5. All right, thanks for watching, and hope that was a easy enough lesson for you guys today. If it wasn't, go back and watch the lesson again and then learn something if you didn't. All right, have a great night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.